Could the clerk call a roll, please?
Certainly. Chair Du Bois? Councilmember Filsath?
Here.
Councilmember Ku?
Here.
2 present.
Do we have to name the committee and the date?
Welcome to the CAO committee meeting, Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021. Why don't we go and see if there's public comment?
If there are any members of the public who wish to speak to this item, please raise your hand in the Zoom app. Looks like we only have one attendee, and I don't believe he wants to speak, so we are good to go.
Super. Then we return to the committee and welcome Mary, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to see you all, and I was sorry to hear about the mayor's challenge, but like you said, we all are getting older, and congratulations to you, Beth. This might be the last time I see you, so happy trails.
Thank you.
I wanted to kick this off that we're going to be getting started on relatively the same process we used last year, except we won't be doing an evaluation for Beth as your city clerk. I am going to recommend that we use the time that we're together to collect perhaps some goals for your new city clerk. Because I'm speaking with everyone, we're in this process, and it seems like a tremendous opportunity to set her up with some goals and expectations. So that's one of my recommendations to you, is that even though we don't, we have a new city clerk and she wouldn't typically get an evaluation, it's certainly a great opportunity to set the stage with her about what you would like and expect, and what does an ideal relationship look like to the council. So if it's okay with you, I thought I would just give you a quick overview of the process as it happens in Palo Alto, and see how you might like, if there's anything that last year you'd like done a little differently or that you'd like to amend. But I've already had a preliminary discussion with Ed and with Molly and regarding the process. And we've come up with an outline and a timeline working with the clerk's office that's got a general schedule to it that'll enable us to finish and allows for your time off coming up. So we'll go ahead and do a 360 for the city manager only. We're going to amend that city manager process a little bit so that it complies with the International City Managers Association annual every 5 years, the city manager gets recertified as a certified city manager. And it's a slight tweak to the process for the 360 that is compliant. So we thought, why don't we do that? And so it will look relatively similar to you. It will just include a few peers and also a broader reach of subordinates and perhaps some community members. Now, that's a choice for the council, because we'll have a report that has more inputs. So I can separate out city staff from the other people that ICMA would like us to include, just so that Ed gets a broader perspective on how he's doing. So that's a choice. Lydia, did you want to jump in?
I was just going to ask, how is the community? Does Ed go out and seek the references or the community members?
The system, the way that this goes, starts with his suggestion of who should be included. In my experience, it's like the superintendent of schools or the county executive or the head of the chamber. We hadn't contemplated 100 inputs. It was more 4 or 5 from the community, 4 or 5 of his peers, which would be perhaps the county executive or other leaders in the Palo Alto and Santa Clara County area. Ed is working on that list. We've updated the list of department heads, and of course we use his staff. We'll do Chantal, and we'll make sure Kylie is included. But the intent of the 360 is to inform the council on how does the organization view their leader? But also to give Ed some reflective input that he can use in addition to educating you. So I want him to think about who he wants to include, and he's doing that right now. So that will close, and okay, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, quick question. Original original drafts of this also suggested we were going to do a 360 on Molly Stump as well. Is there an intentional change there?
I thought that we were just doing the city manager this year, and we certainly can do Molly. We've been doing them every other year,
Mhm.
and that's why.
When's the last time we did one on Molly? I don't remember actually.
It's been a few years since we've done Molly. We can absolutely include them if that's your preference. It's not a problem at all.
Speaking of which, what do you think, Molly?
I'd be interested if the council has the resources to do that. I think I've only had that experience once, and it was quite a few years ago, and I learned some things from it. So I think it's valuable exercise.
Happy to do it.
What if it's been a few years? I think it's a useful thing to do too. What's it cost?
Yeah, another maybe it's definitely within the budget. Last year we were 10,000 under the budget. Because so I'm not worried about the budget. Probably $2,500 more.
Okay, I'd be up for doing that.
All right, we'll add you, Molly.
Lydia, what do you think?
I think so too. Thank you for asking the questions. Yeah, and if you're okay with it, Molly,
Absolutely. Thank
I
you.
think it'll be helpful too.
I agree.
But I want to pick the people. I want to pick the people that we go to.
Yeah, Molly. So I'll work with you on how your list deviates from Ed's, but yours will be the more traditional looking within the organization 360. And Ed's just has to have a few external inputs to comply with the ICMA requirement.
That's another question. So with Ed, he has a lot of staff, right? So is it mostly the leadership team, or is it going to be out in the field as well?
Leadership team, and then the people that directly report to him. We've included, in the past, I think we've included Molly's deputy. I think in the 360, we've included, of course, his direct report staff support. And Beth, did we do the assistant city clerk? I think we've done the assistant city clerk as well.
You did.
So people that Ed interfaces with a lot, we're not doing, and then all the department heads. If there are other key positioned people, we can certainly consider adding them, but it just grows this process because I read and review and integrate all of their narrative comments, and there can be pages and pages. So I'm happy to add a few. I don't want to add 20 unless you want to, and then, that's not whatever you want to do. It's my recommendation. Are there people that you particularly would like included?
No,
Okay.
I'll leave it to you.
I don't have any
And,
specific
yeah.
ones at this point.
And I think Ed had something to say.
Sure. I would just share that the purpose and maybe the context, recognizing that these 360s are something that can be really valuable, is to pick individuals that basically I interact with in a variety of contexts. And in contrast, it wouldn't be the kind of thing that we do a survey on per se, where, again, it might be a large number of people, but have light and maybe very narrow interaction with. So for that reason, as Mary pointed out, this would typically be direct reports as well as peers that I work with really on an ongoing basis.
So we're ready to move forward. So it sounds like we'll include Molly. We'll make sure that Ed's list, and you're going over that right now, that it's robust and it includes the people that you feel would give the right input, and the people that you're dealing with on a real regular basis.
Well, just to be clear on that, just even direct reports, to Lydia's point, is 20 people. And so it's really pretty robust list.
You have a big list, Ed,
Yeah.
and Molly's will be smaller, but include all the department heads for sure. And then we then honor your time off, and I'm doing the work behind the scenes, getting the 360 ready, and we get the survey ready for you. Now, in the past, we've sent the survey questions out electronically, and then some of you choose to give me a narrative response in writing, and then I follow up with an interview. And some members have requested that we just, I do the typing while we interview, and I'm fine either way, but we will send the questions out in advance. And we will ask for your consideration and thoughtful reflection before the interview you have with me. And the purpose of that interview is to just get details and examples, which are super helpful to Molly and Ed. Then I'd write a document to speak with one voice where we can about the council's observations and experiences, and then any outlying comments or concerns or expectations. The document will say, as it has in the past, what is the majority experience and what are the minority perspectives, and then identify some goals and for Ed and Molly going forward. And then we'll have a closed session in September to review those drafts. We'll send them out in advance. I think that's super helpful that you get a week or so to mull it over, work on any red line comments. If you think I stated something too strongly or I missed an example, I like to have a red line in advance of the September meeting, just so that it's easy for you and wordsmithing isn't the focus, but instead the theme and the message and the flow of the evaluation. We then have our discussion with the city manager and the city attorney, and I just am present and facilitate those discussions as needed. And you give Ed and Molly your feedback. I'm also hoping that in that process, we figure out what's the best way to communicate with your new city clerk.
Mhm.
If we schedule just, a 15 or half hour little mini session to give her the perspective on what success looks like. Then we wrap it up, and then any changes, if we haven't discussed whether compensation will be contemplated this year, but if it is, I'm reminding you that is authorized in open session after the process is over.
Yeah, we normally do that afterwards, right?
Yeah. So I do that work, and I do the discussion between you. I'm the facilitator, the negotiator between the council and the appointed officials as required. And I will do that for you if there is an ask. And I haven't had a chance to talk with Molly and Ed about whether there will be, but I think they're probably contemplating that. Any adjustments to their contract, it doesn't necessarily mean all compensation focused.
And that's going to be in late September.
It will be we'll be finished with this mid to late September. And it draws out primarily because you have a nice break and we want to honor that. And also there's no reason to rush this process. This is your normal timeline.
Okay. I mean, with me. So what about our auditor? Is our auditor going to be part of our evaluations as well?
Years ago, the auditor was part of the evaluation process, and then the council stopped including the auditor maybe 4 years ago. I'm referring to Ed and Molly.
Well, I forgot what we said. We said something in the contract.
We did.
We were going to do a check-in in 6 months or something, but I don't remember exactly what that was. That's a good question.
Right. I don't recall off the top of my head either, but I believe there is something in there for some sort of performance type of feedback. So let me take a look at that, and maybe I can forward that information subsequent to this meeting to the committee and to Mary, and you can decide if there's some way that this integrates with this process, or is it a separate process?
Thank you, Molly.
Molly, I can also do that.
Thank you.
Sandra.
Sold.
I'm happy to include perhaps the auditor, and very much the same way we'll include the clerk. That seems appropriate. In one, it's sort of retrospective, how have the last period of time gone, but with the clerk, sort of future thinking, what do we think we need? Because I see them kind of similar, but however you want to handle that, and Sandra, I'll defer to you to let me know, we'll build that into the schedule.
Okay. Yeah, again, the difference is there's going to be something actually specified in the contract with the auditing firm, right? So we should just be mindful of that.
Correct. I'll go back and review the contract.
I mean, it's probably not much. I don't think it's much, but there's something in there.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, we don't want him to be left out, feel left out, you know.
Right. Okay. And then, so I will defer to you. Sandra, why don't you be my point of contact on how we're gonna deal with the auditor?
Yes, that will work. Then we can report back.
We can report back. Yeah, I'm just excited to have this chance. I really love working with all of you, so it'll be a lot of fun. And
mutual.
Good. So we'll be talking again over the summer. You can just lob the ball back to me, and I'll start the 360 process. Molly will work up her list. Molly, I'll have, maybe Ed can forward his list, and that might inspire you. And then if there's anything else, anybody else, Molly, you want to include. And then Ed is working on his external pieces, and then we're all systems go on the 360. And I'll wrap that up late July, mid-July.
Okay.
All right.
That's great.
So I'm thinking we don't need a motion here or anything like that. Is that? Yeah. Okay, good.
I think we're good. I'm looking forward to it. And as always, I'm someone that I'd love it to have you call me if there's anything else that you're thinking about that would improve the process. We can discuss it. And then we'll be talking, I'll be talking to each of you council members in August.
Hey, is Beth still on the line?
Yes, I am.
When's your actual last day?
July 30th.
Oh, okay, so you're here for a while, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here for a while. What I'll do is to help assist Leslie in this process is to start getting dates out in September for the closed sessions, and I'll work a little bit closer with Mary too to figure out the timing of them, so that we can get them on the agenda, and she doesn't have to worry about that part.
Okay.
And Leslie starts July 26th, correct?
Yes, but no, she starts July 26th. We're looking to have her come in a couple days a week, like on Monday and Tuesday, ahead of that time, with the fact that Nellie and Jessica are both leaving. We want to, yeah.
Nellie's leaving
Oh my
too?
gosh,
Nellie's leaving too. She got
Jessica.
an offer from Peninsula. What is it, Nellie? Peninsula?
Clean energy.
Yes.
Oh, those guys.
Oh.
Sorry,
Well,
guys.
I'm really happy for both of you, but I'm going to miss you guys so much.
So her last day is July 8th.
Wow.
Mm.
So I'm trying to work with Leslie, and she's agreed to come in on Mondays and Tuesdays ahead of time to get orientated a little bit more. And I've been putting together a lot of documents that I can send to her ahead of time to help her understand how we do things and what's coming up.
Okay. Wow. We got a clean sweep in the clerk's office.
And the clerk,
Danny.
Almost.
Journey.
Damn.
Lots of turnover in clerks right now.
Yeah,
So-
all over the place there is.
Yeah,
Well, congrats, Nellie. So,
Yeah, and Jessica too.
good. All right.
okay. In that case, thank you very much.
All right.
And
you.
look forward to this process going on.
Perfect.
Meeting adjourned?
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Mary.
Have a great
Thank you.
All right,
day.
bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.